good to see everybody. I just wanted to bring folks together and have a conversation with Chief Straub. He's been on board now for just over 3 months, just 3 months. And the reality is, and the point is that the Chief and I are committed to having the safest city of our size in the region and beyond, and really the points that to take a safe city to the safest. And we're going to be discussing some of those issues today, and what makes what our city looks like in the sense of our law enforcement, in our crime statistics, where those are, and really to lay the groundwork and to have the chief and his command staff lay the groundwork for that strategy going forward. And it does, there was really 3 components that come together that bring us to today, and that is the Use of Force Commission report that I just received yesterday, that Chief just received yesterday, the selection of our new chief, and ultimately looking to the 2013-2014 years, and how do we lay a strategy and really present to the public a way that we can achieve the goal of having the safest city, and really ultimately to my ultimate goal, which is to have the city of choice for the Northwest. And fundamentally that has to do with the safety of your city and how your citizens feel in their city, and that they need to feel safe, that they should be expected to feel safe, and how do we do that. So we have these components all coming together for me at the same time, and to allow and to really come behind our police force to do that. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about the city, also really talk about the future of our police force here in the city of Spokane. So with that, I'll turn it over to the chief, and he'll kind of take us through it, and also his command staff on particular questions and particular programs that we'll be looking at over the next year.
Good morning. So our thought is that we'll move through some highlights from the strategic plan, and then really make it more of a conversation and let you ask questions about the strategic plan, the use of force report yesterday that came out that we've had an opportunity to take a look at, and we can give you some reaction to that. So I'll do some of the initial talking, but certainly any member of the command staff that are with me. And for those of you who don't know, Craig Meidel is currently a major. He will be assuming the duties of Assistant Chief of Police. Brad Arleth, who's sitting to my right, is currently a captain in patrol. He will be assuming the duties of commander for our new field operations division, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And Frank Scalise will be a captain in our new tactics and strategic operations command, and we'll have the opportunity to talk a little bit about that and why we created the unit. Really, as we go into 2013 and we look at the next 5 years, I think it's critically important that we really focus on crime reduction. And as you'll see in a few minutes as we go through some of the slides, crime has been going up in the city of Spokane. And I'll talk about that in a minute. That can't happen, right? If we were a private sector business and we were looking at our profit margin, sales have to go up, they can't go down. Well, for us, the converse is true. Crime can't go up, it has to go down. So right out of the box, one of the things that we're going to focus on is really improving and marshaling our resources to reduce crime and violence. Yesterday, the Use of Force Commission did a great job talking about the steps necessary to move the police department forward. That follows up on Mayor Condon's strategy right out of the box when he became mayor, of things that we needed to do to improve our business practices. The council has also passed a resolution or an ordinance that talks about reform strategies. But if we're going to restore public confidence in its police department, we have to have a safe city. And that has to be the primary thing out of the box. Is we need safety, we need stability in our neighborhoods. Anybody should be able to walk down any street, any time of the day, any day of the week, and feel safe doing it. Pushing their baby carriage, walking their dog, taking a jog. So community safety, neighborhood safety is our primary mission. Clearly, we have to think about how do we engage the community in this process? How do we build public trust and confidence in the police department? That's critically important. And that's something that we have to get up every morning and commit to. So we're committing to reducing crime, preventing crime from occurring in the first place, and restoring public trust and confidence in its police department. That means we have to look at our employees. We have to look internally as well. We have to look at how do we improve our training? How do we improve our policies and procedures? We will achieve in 2013 WASPIC accreditation for our department. We will go to body cameras. We will grow future leaders of this department. I've said it at in-service training. I would hope that the Spokane Police Department never has to go outside again for a new chief of police, because we have the gentlemen that are sitting with me, but we also have another 200 and some odd officers that are driving police cars right now in the city, or they're home with their families. All of those men and women, I believe, potentially should be the chief of police. But it's our obligation, mine, the mayors, the councils, and the community, to help grow the future leaders of this department, the future chiefs of police, to give them the best training possible, to expose them to the best practices of policing. Well, what does that mean? And somebody asked me yesterday after the Use of Force Commission about the strategic plan. You have to have a plan that says this is how we're going to get to where we're going. This is how we're truly going to be the best police department in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to be the model for policing of mid-sized cities. This is how we're going to train our personnel. And that's critically important. But one thing about strategic plans is they have to be dynamic. They have to be alive. And so this sets the foundation. We're all going to have to look at it periodically, every 6 months, every year, and say, are we achieving our goals? Is there something in the strategic plan that we need to do differently? And we have to get out of the typical traditional way of policing, that you put a model in place and you just follow that model and you never vacillate or vary from that model. We can't do that. We've seen it in the United States military, right? This constant evolution of the United States military to deal with budget reductions, force reductions, but at the same time, very critical combat missions across the world. And so, like the military, the police department also has to change and move forward. So just to highlight some of the things that are in the strategic plan, and certainly we could talk more specifically as we go forward. So these are the things that I just outlined in terms of our priorities and goals. We're going to prevent and reduce crime, the fear of crime, improve the quality of life. And we're going to do that in a constitutional manner, a manner that respects individuals' rights and freedoms. But we also have to look at those individuals in the context of what are the norms that we expect in our public spaces. What is our expectation of behavior that we as a community want downtown? And then how do the police, working with the community, make sure that everybody abides by those norms? Similarly, what do we want in our neighborhoods, whether it's the South Hill, or it's the North, or it's the East section of the city? What do those neighborhoods look like? What should they look like? What kind of behavior do we want? And as we enforce the law, we have to be respectful of individual rights, individual freedoms, their right to express their thoughts, and so on and so forth. So the number two thing. Every day, just like any private sector business, we got to get up and say, how do we do our business better? How do we improve our business practices? Are we providing the highest quality of police services to the community that we can be? And if we're not, what do we need to do to adjust that? And one of the things that you're going to hear about is this whole model of CompStat, using data to inform our business practices. So every day we're going to start at the command staff level with a discussion of crime and community service. And what do we need to do to get better? What's the data suggesting? What is the community telling us? Because we're going to neighborhood resource or neighborhood association meetings. We're out in the community walking the streets. We're on bicycles. We're getting out of our police vehicles. We also have to pay attention, as I said before, to our employees. We have to recruit the best, we have to train, and we have to develop an exceptional team of employees. Crime is something that we have to really pay attention to. I think, in all honesty, the department has been somewhat distracted. Distracted by what do we do in the aftermath of the Zem incident? How do we reform the police department? And I think we've rightly focused on those issues, and we rightly will continue to focus on those issues, but we have to do two things simultaneously. We have to improve how we do business as a police department, and at the same time we have to reduce crime. So we have to take in all of this information from the mayor, from the council, from the Use of Force Commission, from the Department of Justice, from the community, and use that information to get better at what we do, but at the same time we have to stay focused on our core mission, which is reducing crime. If you look at the slide, what you see that from 2009 to 2011, Part 1 crimes, those serious crimes, are up about 13%. Violent crimes for that same period are up 3%, and property crimes are up 14%. Clearly, we need to have a stronger focus on reducing crime in the city of Spokane. Again, this is our report card, if you will, or one very important part of our report card. This is profit. Are we achieving our goals as a business? I would say right now we need to do a much better job. We got to get crime down, and what we're looking for is not crime down by 1 or 2%. What we really want to see is crime going down. So instead of going up next year, what you're going to see is crime taking a significant decrease. The way to do that is really to focus on neighborhoods. In a city this size, both geographically and population-wise, you can't talk about crime as a citywide phenomenon because crime happens in very small, defined areas. Crime happens in neighborhoods. This gives you 3 breakdowns, again, rather large breakdowns geographically, and it shows you what's happened to crime in the northwest section, the northeast section, and the south of the city. What we really are going to do, though, going forward in 2013 is start looking at crime in much smaller geographic areas. We're really moving to a very specific neighborhood-based model. So these districts, these 8 districts, correspond generally to our areas where patrol are being dispatched and also our neighborhood councils. And what you will see going forward in 2013 is crime reports that look like this, and they'll be posted on our website. So you will see every week a general indication of crime by category, citywide first, and a map showing where crime is occurring in the city. Where are our crime hotspots? You'll then see, as you go through the website, breakdowns by sectors. So you'll see crime reported just for the Northwest, just for the Northeast, just for the South. So that if you're living in those neighborhoods, you'll have a very good sense of what's going on from a crime perspective, both in terms of crimes against persons and crimes against property. Again, this goes back to looking at crime as reported by districts. And what you see is, in some cases, crime has gone down. Violent crime has gone down here, here, and here. Here it's gone down precipitously. In other areas, you see the difference in property crimes. Well, as the department it becomes more strategic and more focused, what we're going to be looking at is where are those places where crime is going up significantly. Why do we want to put all of our resources over here looking at violent crime when in fact it's gone down dramatically, whereas here in the district right next to it we have an increase in violent crime. So we're going to be focusing our resources to those areas based on what our daily, weekly, monthly crime statistics are suggesting are the areas of highest activities. Our goal is to focus on the person who's driving crime, the activities that are most significant and challenge our community the most, and the places where crime is occurring. What this diagram illustrates to you is some neighborhoods are very, very safe. There are very strong neighborhoods. They're very cohesive, collaborative neighborhoods where you have strong neighborhood associations. You have strong block watch associations. So you see very little crime in those type of neighborhoods. The converse is true in some of our more challenged or distressed neighborhoods where there isn't collaboration. The community hasn't come together. We see hotspots there. And so what you do is you adjust your crime fighting strategies, your crime reduction strategies based on the patterns that are occurring in those neighborhoods. So again, the need to focus on neighborhoods versus citywide phenomena. If you go to the last page of the strategic plan, you see in there a chart that talks about how we're organizing the department differently. What we had is silos based on specialties of function. So, as I said before, Commander Arleth will be taking over the Field Operations Bureau. The idea there is to bring the bulk of our investigative activities and the bulk of our patrol activities under one single commander. So that instead of having investigations doing something over here and patrol doing something over here, every day they're coming together. And we're maximizing the use of those resources, and we're using investigative resources combined with uniform patrol resources to really go to those neighborhoods again, focus on the persons and the activities that are driving crime, and using traffic, using investigations, using patrol, using canine, all to focus in on those persons that are driving crime in our city. One of the things that's also happened, and I'm moving my left to right, is we've taken uniformed personnel, and as resources have shrunk, these gentlemen and others are getting more and more involved in the day-to-day administration of the office. Well, none of us signed on to be accountants. None of us signed on to be fleet managers. These gentlemen signed on to be crime fighters, to reduce crime in our city, to improve the quality of life in our city. Well, as they have taken on more and more business, typical business activities, they've been pulled away from crime fighting. They've been pulled away from crime reduction. So what we're doing is we're taking those duties and responsibilities away from our uniformed officers and putting them under a civilian head who will handle the Business Services Bureau. That doesn't mean that we're immune from business practices, but that's not our primary mission. We need a good, strong civilian manager in here to look at these type of activities. And then our new division, the Tactical and Strategic Operations Command. The idea is that elements of crime are interrelated. So what we have to do, if we really want to reduce burglary, for example, and property crimes, is we have to recognize the fact that people that are committing those crimes may have drug dependency issues. They may be homeless. They may be looking for that. You know, I've got the advantage of I'm walking by a car, there's a purse, smash the window, and grab it and go. Where do those properties that are stolen go to? One of the things we've been doing, I think, well, but at the same time inefficiently, is we're chasing burglars around the city. We're chasing people that are engaging in property crime around the city. Well, I'm going to send a very clear message. We're going to continue to chase you, but you also have to know that when you show up to sell your property, we're going to be waiting for you. Because those people that are buying stolen property in this city, we're going to take you out of commission. We're going to put you out of business. Because if people that are stealing property have no place to sell it, there's going to be less of a reason to steal the property. So by taking our narcotics people, our gang people, our neighborhood resource officers who are now going to be termed neighborhood conditions officers, we're going to go after those problem activities, those problem people, and those problem places. We're also going to work with other city agencies, because policing doesn't happen in a vacuum. So we need our neighborhoods to come with us. We need code enforcement to come with us. So one of the things that you've heard over and over again is a new vision for our cop shops, so that our cop shops aren't just places where you go for police services. They're going to be, if you will, mini city halls. It was just last week we were up in the Hilliard section of the city. Why should somebody in Hilliard have to get in their car or get on a bus and come downtown to get a building permit, to talk about a neighborhood issue in terms of maybe abandoned vehicles and so on and so forth? Shouldn't they be able to, in their own neighborhood, be able to walk to a neighborhood resource center, a cop shop, where you have police, code enforcement, permit information, you can find out about your water bill all in one place? And that's the evolution that we're going to, because really if we're going to address the crime problem, it's not just a police problem, it's a community problem. And it's going to take the effort of not only the community, but all city services coming together, county services coming with us, right? Federal and state law enforcement coming with us to really attack the problems and working collaboratively to go after it. So this is what this part over here of the organizational chart talks about. And I think, that gives you kind of some of the bullet points of what we're trying to go with. We'll open it up to questions to myself, the mayor, and any member of the command staff.
I could also just, again, this is a continuation. I mean, we've had a lot of structural changes here at the city, and when you talk about having public safety be our top priority, this is what is behind the move to moving our community development and our human services our departments into one. It is part and parcel and intricate in when we're talking about neighborhood resource centers, or what are those services that both the police and our neighborhood services division and bring together so that we can do that. And ultimately it gets back to, and very early on, and the council have confirmed them, our city's mission, vision, and values. And the chief talked about the values of integrity and accountability and transparency. It is this type of architecture of your personnel that does that. We are, as you heard the chief talk about it, how do you hold people accountable? How do you hold your neighborhood condition officers accountable for the condition of that neighborhood? You're not just there as a resource, but we've got to be the person that brings and integrates these services together. So it is a continuation of what we started very early on in this last year. And like I said, the pieces have come together now to put that strategy together to build on a lot of good things that are going on. The police department has been working on repeat offenders. We talked about that. We've been working on hotspots policing, of looking at where is the crime happening, going after, being predictive, and really using the data to tell you where you can be proactive. Because ultimately the scorecard, and the chief is exactly right, this is his scorecard, is the crime rate needs to go down. And so we need to fundamentally change the way we're doing business, realign our resources that we do have before we would ever go to the public to ask for an investment in some of the critical infrastructure needs, whether those be in the world of technology or structures, physical structures, so that we can continue to drive that down. So this lays the groundwork for that. Over the spring, we'll be talking and really looking at, and there's been a lot of coverage on where we go for next generation fire service. That's part of our public safety, and also both the county commission, the city council, and I coming together under the the criminal justice commission, of really looking at the recidivism rates and what we do after law enforcement has done their job, because it is all together, and to really reduce our crime level and have the safest city in our size really ultimately leads us to my goal, which is we're the city of choice for the Northwest. And this is a key portion of why people choose to live where they live.